Hello and welcome back to Oscar Recap. Today we will recap.
Monster is the legendary mermaid. Although she has an ugly face, but the body structure is basically the same as a human. And under the old man's threat, the mermaid was forced to live with him for decades. On this day, the young meteorologist Tom, to take over from the last weatherman on the island, the old man told him the recorder was already sick and dead, but in fact, he was the last recorder. It's even weirder. The outer wall of the lighthouse was covered with spikes. It's like being on the lookout for something. That night, a strange noise came from outside Tom's cabin. A black hand with a falling hand. Through the crack in the door, Tom kicked his feet into the palm of his hand. Then it came out the door. A more violent crash. Tom was frightened and went to the basement. He gingerly grazed that seam of the floor and looked out. All of a sudden, an eye appeared before him. Tom's reflexive return as a cut finally got rid of the monster. After dawn, Tom, who had been afraid all night. That's when you get out of the basement. He found out the sand is full of footprints of unknown creatures. So I found the old man and wanted to know, but they don't want to talk to him. Back in his cabin, Tom also began to build fortifications, looking for boards that could be used to seal doors and windows. He found a rifle in the box. There are also several boxes of bullets inside. After nightfall, large numbers of humanoid monsters have climbed the island. Tom emptied 2 boxes of bullets in quick succession, but there are too many monsters and they're all hiding outside the house. This level of attack is of little use. Seeing the monster is about to break into the house, Tom set the books on fire outside, successfully forced the monster to retreat. It's just that Tom's cabin was set on fire. To avoid being burned, Tom was clothed with burlap that did not burn easily, broke through the wooden door and escaped. At this time, the hut was already surrounded by flames. Maybe God thought Tom was too pathetic. There was a sudden heavy rain in the sky, although the fire was put out, but the cabin is almost uninhabitable. There is no remedy for Tom. He decided to find something to eat to fill his stomach, and that's when the accident happened again. In the face of a sudden monster, Tom came up in a flash and got the upper hand. But just as he was about to pull the trigger, the old man rushed over and stopped him. Look. He cares about this monster, and so, Tom took the opportunity to make an offer. If the old man let him live in a lighthouse, he spared the monster. There is no way. The old man had to say yes to Tom. After nightfall, countless mermen rushed to the lighthouse. They're here to save their own kind. The old man stood on the balcony firing skillfully. Tom was frightened back into the lighthouse, watching the old man slaughter the mermen mercilessly. Tom was more afraid. After dawn, Tom was awoken directly by a basin of cold water. To see the female merman cozying up to him, the old man was even more unhappy. So at night, the old man left Tom on the balcony. Let him face the tide of merman monsters alone. Just wait till morning. When the old man opened the balcony door, Tom, covered in blood, is looking at him coldly. Since then, between Tom and the old man, in a strange symbiotic relationship. When night falls, the two were standing on the balcony to fight against the growing number of fish. Until that night, they forgot to turn on the light. The mermen soon climbed the lighthouse. 2 people are unable to parry, can only hide in the fully enclosed lighting room. During the escape, the old man was scratched by a merman on his shin. I had a hard time staying up until dawn. The merman retreated from the lighthouse. On this day, Tom found cargo ships that usually passed through the islands. He wanted the freighter to take himself off the island, but the old man was pinned to the ground. At this time, the female merman actually yelled back the old man. In all these years of life, female mermen have long had a soft spot for Tom. Looking at the cabbage in his garden, got eaten up by another pig. The old man is very angry, and so, he decided to give one to Tom, equivalent to a suicide mission. If a mermaid like this comes to you, will you say yes to her?
我是条美人鱼。
What if it looks like this? Most people probably can't take it, but Tom wanted a female merman, willing to risk his life, diving into the sea hundreds of meters to salvage explosives. All of a sudden, a mermaid boy knocked him over. For wearing heavy pressure suits, Tom could not stand up at all. He asked the old man for help on the agreed signal, but they tried to drown him in the ocean. At this time, Tom opened the pressure suit. He swam to the surface of the sea in one breath. When I got home, the old man buried dynamite around the lighthouse, prepared to kill all the fish. But he waited 3 months, didn't even wait for a mermaid. The old man thought it was a female merman, tipped off his own kind. So catching a female merman is a beating. In order to attract people and fish, the old man asked Tom to open the lighthouse gate, and then forced the mermen to call for help. Very soon, a huge amount of mermen rushed in. The old man tried to detonate the bomb, but the detonator failed. The mermen are about to climb the lighthouse. Tom connected the wire and pressed the button, instantly emptied the surrounding mermen, but the mad old man set off the bomb again, killing the distant mermen. 2. After dawn, the old man went down to mend the knife, but Tom was tired of the endless killing. He's trying to get out of here, and he can't. That evening, female mermaids carry a few of their own kind, come to Tom for peace. They don't want to fight anymore, but the old man won't agree to a truce, and shot the little mermaid. See this situation, Tom dashed back to the lighthouse, got into a fight with the old man. Maybe it was the conscience of being beaten. The old man with blood on his face walked out of the lighthouse. Next second, hundreds of fish ambushed around the lighthouse, came straight up in 3 seconds, and tore him to pieces. It was more than a year. Tom's 5-year term expired. By this time he had become a slovenly person. Now the higher authorities have sent in new weather experts. They asked where Tom had gone, and Tom said the man was dead. He wants to stay on this island to protect the mermen from the world.
Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss any updates.